Heather, we are hearing from an Oklahoma couple after a bizarre run-in with a guy they never met.
Coming at him like this, and he kept backing off.
What happened next that sent this man to the hospital and the suspect to jail?
We're really holding our legislators' feet to the fire on funding.
Plus, lawmakers miss an important deadline on education funding, why they're unable to reach an agreement, and a Metro hospital in cleanup mode following a crash. What investigators are telling us about the moments leading up to the collision. It's right now at 5.
You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 5.
Good evening and thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Eli Roberts.
And I'm Heather Holman. It was this time last year when teachers converged on the Capitol demanding more money for education.
And today lawmakers were supposed to show them the money, but they actually missed a critical deadline. News 4's Brent Skarkey joins us now live. And Brent, some teachers are making their voices heard today.
Almost a year after the statewide teacher walkout, educators in Northwest Oklahoma City speaking out after legislators failed to meet their April 1st deadline for passing a common education budget.
We're going to be pushing them to make sure that we get it right because our kids are depending on it.
To be fair, the April 1st deadline has only been met twice in the 16 years state law has required it.
We want them to get it right. And so this year they're taking a little more time to have those discussions.
Here at the Capitol that, education has been talked about a lot, but what has been missing is the funding piece.
And those discussions seem to hinge on where the increased funding will go.
The main sticking point is when you have the House of Representatives and the governor both supporting a $1,200 increase in teacher salaries. Yet on this side of the chamber, the Senate appears to be wanting to put that money into average daily membership, which is the classroom. So therefore, that's a major sticking point.
Educators say this year's budget is not an either-or proposition.
It takes overall funding to attract and recruit teachers and support staff, and we have to fund classes. So it's not a priority. All of it is important for our kids.
Last year, education continued to be a top campaign promise for so many candidates across the state. So I'm just concerned that we've lost some of that direction.
Well, Senator Sharp tells me it's unclear how much more money the state will have to spend on education from new taxes like the energy tax and marijuana tax, but he did say that they should have gone ahead and passed a basic budget and then added more later if the need be. They say that they will probably have a budget probably passed by the end of the month. Until then, expect to see more teachers on the street corners speaking out like they are right now. In Northwest Oklahoma City, Brent Skarkey, Oklahoma's News 4.
Let's hope they can get it done. Brent, thank you. Air Comfort Solutions Chopper 4 overhead today as officers searched for a suspect who allegedly stole 2 cars. The thief apparently really likes Lexus. Listen to this. Oklahoma City police say a person called 911 to report that their stolen Lexus had been tracked to the Belle Isle area. Officials arrived on the scene and took 2 people into custody, but a third person took off in the stolen car. Officers later found the car abandoned near 63rd and Penn. The suspect, nowhere to be found. Police soon learned that the suspect stole another Lexus and then crashed that car near 39th and Portland before running away again. So far, he hasn't been caught.
Now, first weather from the Forewarned Storm Team.
We have a nice Monday out there. At least the winds are light. Temperatures are still on the cool side. Kind of a holdover from our weekend that we just had. Saturday, just about a total loss outdoor weather-wise, but better today. Let's take a look outside. And metro temperatures are mostly in the middle 50s right now. A few folks are getting up into the upper 50s. So with a calm wind, a near calm wind, not a bad afternoon, especially with that sunshine now coming through after this weather system overnight and this morning tracked right across Oklahoma. Not much moisture for that to work with, and it's moving on by. Our next weather system is a bit of a different story here. This will be Wednesday night, and early Thursday. It will travel directly across Oklahoma, and there may be a risk of some severe weather, and I'll show that to you. Evening temperatures lower to upper 40s at 10 o'clock. The winds stay light this evening. Here's the risk late Wednesday into overnight Wednesday night. Heavy thunderstorms in the white and a slight risk out to the west. This is where the tornado threat would be. Isolated tornado, mainly a hail and wind threat far western Oklahoma. And here's the initial look at the hail threat for later Wednesday and Wednesday night. The higher probability of the larger hailstones in the darker shade of blue up to golf ball size. We'll check out that timeline, have that forewarned forecast coming up.
The Supreme Court will not take up a case involving an Oklahoma death row inmate. Julius Jones was sentenced to die for the 1999 murder of Edmond businessman Paul Howell. Earlier this year, his attorneys filed an appeal. They wanted the Supreme Court to consider some new evidence. Jones's attorneys say a juror used a racial slur when referring to Jones during the trial. They also claim the judge knew what was said but did not remove that juror. Today, the Supreme Court said it would not review the new appeal. Jones's family maintains his innocence.
And now to a terrifying case of road rage on Oklahoma City's southwest side. Tonight, the victims say they feared for their lives. News 4's Jessica Bruno is on Crime Watch with the case that left one person bloody and another in handcuffs.
You know, we've been married 25 years, and I thought, I just lost my husband over some idiot.
Melissa and John Spurbeck tell News 4 the bizarre encounter happened so fast.
This chick is swerving. I said she almost hit me. I thought it was a woman. And so I continue on, and next thing I know, we're both going, and he's zooming up at me, and he's swerving at me, and I look over, my husband leans up. About that time, he goes, he's waving a ball bat at you. And I'm like, what?
And then the suspect followed the Spurbecks into this parking lot near Southwest 44th and Penn, hit this bumper, and then things took an even more violent turn.
He ends up coming in the store parking lot, jumping out of his car with the car still going. The car was still rolling. It ended up rolling, hitting the building, and he come out to her side first with the baseball bat.
Trying to protect his wife, John says he jumped out of the car and walked up to the suspect. Still fearful, though, of what could happen next.
I kept coming at him like this, and he kept backing off. I come at him again, he'd back off. I was like, oh, he don't really want none. Go away. And I started to go back to my car, and that's when he come at me, hit me with the baseball bat, and that's when I tackled him, tucked to the ground, and tucked the baseball bat away.
As you can see in these photos, John was hit hard in the head and elbow, landing him in the ER.
That we don't even know why. I don't know if he was drugged. I don't know if he's not right in his mind. I don't know what it was.
The Spurbecks say the suspect, 45-year-old Devin Cortez Green, also threatened them with a knife and pointed a gun at them before he was arrested. He's got a lengthy criminal past with a long list of mostly drug charges. He's currently on probation for a charge from a few months ago. As for the Spurbecks,
lucky, real lucky. Lucky he didn't start shooting at us.
In Southwest Oklahoma City, Jessica Bruno, Oklahoma's News 4.
Green was booked into the Oklahoma County Jail. He's looking at charges for assault and battery. He did manage to bond out, though.
We now know who was killed in a drive-by shooting in Oklahoma City last Friday. Today, authorities identified the victim as Arnold Brown. He was 46 years old. Police say Brown was found shot in front of a home near Southeast 60th and Lindsay Avenue. So far, there have been no arrests, so if you know something about this shooting, please call Oklahoma City Police. An Oklahoma pharmacist is now charged in an alleged fraud scheme. Jeffrey Terry was a licensed pharmacist in Mangum. According to federal prosecutors, Terry submitted false claims to SoonerCare and Medicare for drugs that were never prescribed or given to patients. They also say he pocketed more than $1 million in fraudulent proceeds.
Tonight, we are learning more about the moments leading up to this moment happening this morning. A car slamming right into the emergency room at St. Anthony Hospital. The driver told authorities he needed a medication and needed medical attention. Once the man got to the hospital, police say he lost control of his car and crashed right into the building. No one was hurt. The hospital is now cleaning up the mess that was left behind. Also this afternoon, there is a push at the Capitol to strengthen Oklahoma's distracted driving laws, especially in school zones. Senate Bill 17 would make it illegal for drivers to have their cell phone in their hand while driving in a school zone. The bill was filed in memory of Owasso teacher Bobby White, who was killed by a distracted driver in 2016. The measure passed the Senate last month, and now it heads to a House committee.
New tonight, construction is once again underway at the long-awaited American Indian Cultural Center and Museum. I'm sure you've seen that white structure there. Air Comfort Solutions flew over the facility this afternoon, which currently sits unfinished near I-35 and I-40. Construction began in 2006, but a lack of funding brought work to a halt several years later. While the museum is set to open in 2021. It will be a tourist attraction for sure. Speaking of this upcoming story, it's one of Oklahoma's tourism hotspots.
And as Galen Culver shows us, the main attraction is actually what's underground.
The sky showed pink, but the ground showed white. Always white at Oklahoma's Salt Plains. I'm Galen Culver on the Next Great State, the first day of crystal digging for 2019 and the first digger. This is really
It's really a neat place.
Who that early bird treasure hunter was, next on Oklahoma's News 4.
Is this a great state or what? Is sponsored by MeQ.
Hey, Heather, will you marry me? April Fools. Anyway,
yes.
we
Wait
can
a minute,
all
what?
appreciate.
It was just a joke?
Well, it is April 1st, of course, and one of the things that we can all appreciate, besides a false marriage proposal, sorry, anyway.
Thanks a lot, Eli.
Yeah, the honesty of a gravedigger.
Yes.
Apparently, we appreciate that.
Okay, well, Galen Culver had to go on quite a journey to find just that person to a new hole in the ground on the first day of crystal digging.
Pink sunrise, white surface, white almost as far as the horizon on the first official day of crystal digging at the Salt Plains National Wildlife Refuge.
It's a little after 7:30 now, and there's nobody here yet.
It was a cold morning on the first day of April, and our idea was to catch the very first digger through the gate and onto this surreal 10,000-acre site, a huge salt flat near Cherokee, Oklahoma, home to wild birds, and a unique crystal that grows just beneath the surface.
And the crystals are pretty plentiful usually.
Refuge managers open a portion of this wilderness every year for treasure hunters, hoping to find the biggest crystals.
Yeah, there can be, 50 to 100 people a day out here.
Did we mention it was kind of cold and that it was a Monday, the kind of day most normal people would stay in bed and wait for warmer temperatures? It took a while, but digging deep for the first digger did yield its own kind of gem.
It's really a neat place. I mean, it can change. It can change so easy. Oh, I'm getting awful old.
His name is Roger Pierce. He's a retired gravedigger, no fooling.
But I've got lots of hours out here, thousands of hours.
But folks on these flats know him as Selenite Sam.
It seems like sometimes crystals run in veins.
He first came out here about 6 years ago and connected with this landscape like no other.
I really enjoy this. It's so relaxing because you don't have to be in no big hurry.
A good crystal digger's a patient one, gently probing a hole for something as fragile as glass.
You just got to be patient and do it right.
The best crystals form sometimes huge clusters that might take a whole day to coax from the sand. Selenite Sam works a good hole for a little while, then yields to this couple from Missouri.
So I just go out a little ways, I just dig a hole.
He knows he'll be back, and that this land has room for lots more holes. Near Cherokee, Galen Culver, News 4. Is this a great state or what?
And the crystal digging season stretches from today all the way to October 15th. And stay with us. Weather's next. We'll be right back.